Welcome to another episode of Dad Up, everyone. Thank you guys very much for joining me. I'm joined from an individual clear across the globe, and I'm so thankful that he was able to do this. He and I have recently connected on social media, and he's into fitness and all those sorts of things, and it's probably good for dads and moms for that matter to really pay attention to that kind of stuff. But my good friend Mr. Josh Wood has joined me on Dad Up. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome, awesome. I'm glad you're here. You are all the way down under in Australia, and you are not from Australia, though. That is interesting. So you talked about Minnesota. I want to do this before we dive into everything. For my listeners, my viewers who don't know who you are, let's dive into a back history of you and how in the world you went from a Minnesota kid to Australian islands and just enjoying life out there. And you have a family. So I want to know about that as well.
All right. Well, it's a lot of backstory. So I grew up in Minnesota. Well, I grew up in the Midwest. Born in Oregon, though, shipped out to Nebraska, about 6 months old. At 12, moved to Minnesota. Those are my, teenage formative years. So I always say Minnesota. It's the last place in the U.S. I lived. At 18, just finished high school, bought a backpack, went backpacking in the UK, met an Australian girl, moved to Australia at 19, and been here ever since. And that same Australian girl that I met back in, when I was 18, we settled in Tasmania, which is a large island about the size of Ireland off the south coast of Australia. And we live here with our two kids and a bunch of chickens.
How old are your kids?
Let's see. My youngest just turned 1 a couple weeks
Okay.
back, and my oldest is about 4.5.
All right. Yeah. Boys, girls.
Both boys.
Okay. All right. So I want to ask you this before we dive into your business, but you go from an 18-year-old, which I love the idea of you doing. Like I've tried to tell my boys to do that because like you have no responsibilities. You can live life free, just go travel a little bit, enjoy yourself and
Yeah.
see where it leads you. And so you did that, ended up meeting in Australia. How did your parents feel about that?
Oh, my dad
Wait,
thinks it's
wait, you're
great.
not coming back?
Yeah, my dad still thinks it's cool, but my mom's still disappointed in me.
All right. Well, that's okay. I mean, I'm sure you get back here every once in a while, or they get out there every once in a while. But now you have kids, and now they're like,
Hmm.
wait, now our grandkids are over there. Like, what in the world? My wife would kill our boys if they, because I have two boys. My wife would kill them if they moved overseas and took their children, our grandchildren, with them when they do decide to have grandchildren or our grandchildren. So yeah, I can imagine your mom's probably a little frustrated with that because she doesn't get to see her grandkids that much.
Yep. Yeah, she is, and she wasn't happy with me going overseas in the first place. I had an idea and I'm a little bit obstinate. So I was like, I'm just gonna disappear. I'm not gonna tell anyone that I'm leaving. And then about a month before I was like left, flew out, I told my parents, I'm like, yeah, by the way, I'm flying out of the country in about a month, and I don't know if or when I'm coming back. And so my dad was like, yeah, okay, cool. All right, go do that. And my mom's like,
Wait, what?
boy.
Yeah, I think I would be the same way with my boys. I'd be like, that's awesome. Like I want to live through
Hmm.
your eyes right now. I wish I'd have done that. Now I went when I was 18, 19 years old, I went into the military. So my experience as a youngin was a little bit different. But my boys, they did the normal, route. Go graduate from high school, go into college, graduate from college, get a good job and settle down somewhere. My older son's in Arizona, works for Charles Schwab, has a girlfriend out there, and just has kind of just settled in out there. And my younger son, he just graduated from college, so he still lives at home. He's saving money, but he works remote for a sports company that does like they put uh, they put like portfolios together for high school athletes to send to colleges and stuff like that. So that's
Cool.
what he does, but he's 100% remote, so he's just saving money. But he and his longtime girlfriend are talking about getting married in the next couple of years. So who knows where they will end up. But anyways, I mean, I wish my boys would have done that. I don't regret going into the military, but it would have been cool to have that kind of experience. So good for you, man. I think that's cool.
Thank you.
Hopefully, you don't keep the grandkids away from your mom too much, but I think that's cool. I think it's really neat.
Yeah, well, me and my older son, my 4-year-old, we were just back in the States in July,
Okay.
just the two of us, because we had a bit of a family health issue. And I was like, well, I got to go back. And it's like, well, take my oldest boy. So it was just me and him traveling for a couple weeks. And for those that don't know the extent of travel, I think it was 36 hours to get there, and it was 51 to get back.
Oh, good Lord.
So it's a lot of time in transit, especially if your flights don't line up, and because these are sort of last minute flights. It was just me and a 4-year-old. He had his
Is
fourth
it
birthday there, actually.
okay? Is there even any airports on? I mean, I'm sure there's probably a small one on Tasmania, no?
Oh no, we've got an airport connects to the mainland. We've
Okay.
got some international flights to New Zealand. It's a solid little airport, but almost everything connects through either Sydney or Melbourne.
Oh wow. All right. All right, cool. Well, let's dive into a little bit about what you do, why you do it, how long you've been doing it, and what made you get into it. So why don't we dive into that backstory?
Oh boy. So I work in health and fitness. I've been a health educator for a long time, but I run a business called Strong for Life Online Coaching, which is what it sounds like, an online coaching business for lifestyle strength and wellness, focusing around exercise primarily. It's an online platform working through an app that I use, and I just work with people all over the world, mostly busy parents, people who run businesses as well, who just don't have a ton of time and just need someone to say, do this to get this result.
Mhm.
But the fitness industry and health industry is something I've been working in. Geez, almost 15 years or something now. I've worked in a few aspects, mostly on the education side. So I worked in my first career was massage, ran a clinic, taught at a massage school. For the last sort of 4 years, I've been teaching the personal training courses here in Australia as well. Worked in all sorts of gyms and health facilities. Uh, for a while there, I was just coaching boxing, working out of a boxing gym in Melbourne, but just been working with people sort of one on one for quite a while, and it just kind of evolved out of my own personal interest in in the human body. Like when I was 17, just before I left the U.S., uh, I was working in a small computer shop in Minnesota, and one day I was just like, "Nah, this isn't the life I want. I need to learn kickboxing." And for whatever reason, that was the thing that was like, that's what I got to do. I got to learn how to kick. I need to learn how to fight. I need to get in shape. I need to not be afraid of stuff. Uh, and so I started trying to go down that path and ended up in MMA because there wasn't any kickboxing options. There was just like Taekwondo. And then we had a family run boxing gym, old Irish family. And there was an MMA instructor from Brazil who trained people in the corner there. And I started down that path. When I moved overseas, I trained as I traveled along. As I settled in Australia, started training there, MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And after a while, I was just like, I want to know more. I want to know more about the body. Like I know how to use mine now, but I want to know more about it. And I started going down this health route and trying to learn things like massage. And then I did my bachelor of health science, and I did my personal training courses, and then eventually did graduate studies in strength and conditioning, and just kept following this path of learning more about the body, but more so how to get the most out of other people's bodies, how to get them to get the most, how to get them towards or to reach the goals they want to set. Because most people, they just wish for things. Oh, I wish I was in shape. Oh, I wish I felt better. I wish I had more energy. I wish I was stronger. I wish I wasn't so injury prone, but nobody seems to want to get up and do the work. And sometimes it just takes someone to say, "Hey, this is how you do it." And yeah, I guess gosh, it's well over a decade that I've been helping people sort of figure that out. And then in the last few years I moved it into an online model because now I can reach people everywhere, independent of time, independent of space, can reach them in their homes. I mean, half my clients are in the US. And it's just become this so much more integrated way of helping people get
Mhm.
from A to B.
Mhm.
And it's just, yeah, it's always interesting to look at. It started just because I wanted to learn how to fight, and now I'm here.
All right. Well, I mean, listen, if here's the thing. I don't want to say parents, but I mean people in general. Yes, when we're not in the best of shape, we always want to get into shape. But you're right, people don't want to take the time to do it, or they attempt to take the time to do it, and then they get 3 weeks in and they're not seeing anything yet. They're not seeing any type of results or significant results or what they think they should be seeing. And so they slowly start to revert back into their old habits, right? I mean, we
Yep.
know that we know the routine of these New Year's resolutions that people set and they go, all right, January 1, I'm going gangbusters. And then
Yep.
the gym is packed. And then January 30th, the gym is back to the old crew again. And that's typically the way it is. For me, I mean, I've been kind of going on this. I mean, Josh, I've been kind of going on this health journey myself the last couple years in particular. 2 years ago, I set out a goal for myself that I was going to work out in some form, in some way, whether it was walking, yoga, stretching routine, or actually, working out with weights or going for a run, something like that. I was going to do that every single day of the year without taking a day of rest. And I did. I was able to complete that whole year of doing it. Now,
Amazing.
here's the thing. I didn't change my eating habits. I didn't change anything else that I was doing. I was just doing that. My body structure looked a little different because I was putting on obviously muscle, right? As opposed to what was, there fat. But you couldn't tell because I was still overweight. I was still overweight. So I wasn't shedding the fat as much as I wanted to, but I was getting stronger. You could tell I was building muscle. Um, so this last year, I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that. This next year, meaning the year that we're in now, my goal was to run 1,000 miles for the year. Total of 1,000 miles for the year, and I've always been a runner. Like for the last 20 years, I've always ran. I've ran marathons, all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, this year I surpassed that thousand a long time ago, and I had to set out a new goal. So now I'm at 1,200, and I'm almost at 1,200 now. But that was my goal. Is I like, okay, I've got these are the miles I'm putting on. And guess what? Since last December, now here's a couple things I haven't done. I haven't changed my eating habits, what I'm eating. I have not changed that. Number two, um, I what was number two? I just forgot it. Um, anyways, number one, I have not changed my eating habits. But I wanted to try to. Oh, and that was number two. I haven't lifted weights either. So there's two
Interesting.
flaws. There's two flaws in my workout regimen that I'm going through this year. Number one, I'm not adjusting my eating habits. Like I'm still eating the same stuff. That's flaw number one. That's error number one. And number two, I'm not incorporating any weight training. So my body, maybe cardio wise, I may be burning fat, but I'm not building any muscle. And actually, I've actually
Mm.
lost muscle from the year before that I had gained. All that muscle is pretty much gone now. However, one thing I will say is I went from 80 pounds heavier a year ago to now where I'm at today. So I'm 80 pounds lighter today than I was last December. So I've lost a significant amount of weight.
The
But
system works.
yeah, so I mean, the cardio's there. You know, the one thing that I have changed my eating habits, and this will help you, Dad. So you don't have to necessarily change your eating habits if you don't want to. However, this is what I did. I adjusted how much I ate. So instead of like eating, like we may still go out and grab, you know, Josh's gonna hate these words, but we may still go out and grab fast food for dinner, right? But instead of a combo that I would normally get for me, I would get a kid's meal. So I adjusted the amount that I ate at my mealtime. Like when my wife would make dinner, she wouldn't make me the portion she used to make me. She'd make me half of it. And that actually helped. I didn't go hungry because I was still eating the same amount. I was eating the same amount of times each day. So that wasn't changing. I was just taking a little bit off of the amount. So I
That's a
think that,
huge thing.
yeah,
Like
no,
you're saying
no,
it like, it's this little thing, but that's actually the hardest part for most people is
right.
reducing the quantity or size of portions. And you're proof of it. It's absolutely game changing when you can make those swaps.
Right. And one of the ways that you could do that obviously is changing the size of your plate. So if you make a meal at home, instead of putting it on a normal size plate, put it on a smaller plate. And now you don't have to measure everything. Now Josh can, some workout, fanatics like this guy Josh I have over here, he's going to say, hey, you should measure this, measure micro macros and blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do all that. I'm saying you don't have to do all that. Here I am, the expert, right? I'm saying you don't have to do all that, but I'm telling you what I did. And what I did as far as losing weight worked. Now, did I gain any muscle? No, I lost muscle. So I messed up there. So this new year, as I go into this new year, I'm not changing my running because I really love running. I'm already signed up for 7 new races before July. I'm running 7 new races next year. So I've got a lot of running on my plate just by the end of July. But what I am adding on the rest days for my running, I'm adding weight strength training. So I'm adding
Good.
that strength training and the core workouts that I need to do to start to tone back up my body. So, anyways, I just rambled on like this is all about me, and it's not. This is about Josh. But I was just sharing that because this is what Josh does. I mean, he helps people, and the reason that I brought that up, Josh, is because I actually have a running coach, and he's
Nice.
online. He's actually in
Yeah,
Connecticut.
great.
He's in Connecticut, and he's a professor. He's got a doctorate in I guess uh, physiologically, physical science or whatever they call it. But he's a professor at a university. He teaches this stuff, and he's a runner. He's a running coach. So he works with me. I talk to him literally every day on my running, and he changes my plans and all that kind of stuff. So this is exactly what you do.
And how important has that been to your journey?
Well, it's been
Like these,
it's been crucial, and here's why. Because
yeah,
before this, uh, last year when I was working out every single day, I didn't have a coach with me. Like I was just doing it on my own. But there were days where it was really tough, right? With my running, and because of the amount, like I did 3 marathons this year, I did several half marathons this year. Because I was running so much and I had so many races lined up, I knew that I needed somebody that I needed to talk to be accountable to. So I couldn't be accountable to my
bingo.
wife. Like I could tell my wife, listen, I need you to hold me to this. I need you to be hard on me. And then she's going to go, honey, you need to go for a run. And I don't feel like it. Okay, well, then maybe you can just hang out with me. That kind of thing. That's what would happen, right?
Yep.
So I ended up not going, like, she's not going to be hard on me. So I needed somebody that's going to go, dude, quit being a baby. It's cold outside. Go get your damn run done, and you'll be glad you did. So that's why I got it. I needed the accountability in what an online coach provides, or one in person, but an online coach in particular has worked out for
Yep.
me. And this is what Josh does. So if you're looking for something like that, I want Josh to talk about that. But why is it important? Why do you think it's important for somebody to have it? Like, I don't need a coach. I know how to work out. Okay, whatever. But
Well,
why do
man,
you think it's important?
it's a can of worms. You touched on two super important things though. Like the most important thing is accountability. So this argument I get all the time is, well, everything's free on the internet. It's like, yeah, well, you're still 50 pounds overweight and you can, barely pick up your kids. How's that going for you? Accountability and a plan are probably the most important things that you get when you work with someone, not trying to do it on your own. Um, and it's just a wild thing. And this is the demographic I work with. I work with a lot of dads, but they're usually getting help when it's almost too late.
Mm,
So often people are waiting, so particularly men. We like to try and figure things out on our own, but it takes something pretty drastic to finally realize, for a lot of guys, to finally realize that I haven't been able to do it on my own. The number of young men I talk to are like, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. No, I'll get there. Let me try and do it on my own. It's like 20 years go by and I get these guys and they're in their 40s and their 50s and their 60s and they're like, I never figured it out. I
mhm.
never got myself to do it. And there's like this procrastination and this desire to try and do everything on their own. But it's like, do you do your own plumbing? Do you do your own taxes? Are you your own electrician? Do you run your own business? Do you do every part of that business? Are you the mom? Are you the dad? Do you do every single little thing that you can outsource in your life? Well, most people don't because we don't have the time. We don't have the mental capacity to figure that out and learn what we need to learn and then implement it. It's like if you don't do your own plumbing and your own electrical work, why are you afraid of getting a coach who's going to figure all that out for you and just tell you what you need to do? But there seems to be this hesitancy there. And then once you have that accountability to keep you on plan, so the creation of a plan, the creation of a system, and then the accountability, all of a sudden everything starts working so much better. And it's one less thing that you have to think about each day.
Hmm.
You just say, I need to tick this box on the app. My coach said I need to do this and I need to submit a video and he's going to give me feedback and everything's going to be laid out and figured out for me. And then a year later, you're 50 pounds down, you're a new person. And it's like all it took was actually saying, I need to outsource this.
Hmm.
And it's such a big step for a lot of people, but that accountability is probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing you mentioned there that I think you kind of downplayed it, but it's actually crazy important is that swapping out of
Hmm.
meals and just changing the portion size. So I don't know if you've listened to it, but I did a TEDx talk earlier this year
Hmm.
called Six Habits to Eat Like an Adult.
Hmm.
And I'm not dogmatic about nutrition. I think calorie counting and weighing and measuring and things like that can be super valuable tools,
Hmm.
but not for everybody
Right.
and not for every situation. And creating a healthier relationship with food by changing little micro habits each day is probably the most important thing. And for you, it was portion control, using a smaller plate. Genius, like it works. It's amazing how so many people are, again, hesitant to be like, nah, I'll just put less on my plate. No, man, if the space is there, you'll fill the plate. Get a
Right.
smaller plate. If things aren't perfect, if I can't find the perfect food when I go out to eat, I'm just gonna just eat whatever. I have uh new clients do a food journal, and I always get them to tell me, what they're eating across the week. And weekends are obviously a shit show.
Right.
And they'll be like, I had a social engagement. So workmates, we went out and so I ate a whole pizza or a bucket of wings. And I'm like, can you just let me know how many wings it takes for it to be social? Like, what do you mean? Because you were being social, you had to eat your body weight in deep fried chicken wings. That doesn't make any sense. Um, but the having the accountability and the understanding that you don't need to do things perfectly. You can eat junk food. You just got to eat less of it and
Right.
less consistently.
Right.
Uh, but people treat it like treats. That's just one of the things I talk about in that TEDx talk is, people feel like they need to treat themselves and they don't like the idea of restricting, but they always try to reframe it as like, oh, I've earned this. I deserve this. This is a
Uh-huh.
treat. But if you're treating yourself every day or every weekend at the same time,
Uh-huh.
it's not a treat. It's your diet.
Right.
If you're eating a bucket of wings every weekend, if you're eating a block of chocolate every night, a case of beers, whatever it is, that's not a treat. You don't get a treat. You don't get to reward yourself for existing every day. Oh, good. You went to your 9 to 5. Okay, eat dinner. You don't need a six pack of beer. You don't need a block of chocolate or whatever it is. That's not a reward. That's just you coping. It's emotional eating. It's self-medicating, but it's not a treat.
Right.
Treats are rewards. And we get this sort of idea that, if we can't do things perfectly, we're not going to do it at all. And we need to make sure that we're never restricting ourselves and we got to treat ourselves for all the things that we do. And it just gets this like pile of chaos around how we actually interact with food. But you kind of hit it. It's like, you're just like, I just changed this one thing. I got smaller plates. That's all it takes, man.
Yeah.
And what, you lost 80 pounds?
80 pounds, officially 80 pounds just 2 days ago. So yeah, officially 80 pounds. And listen, I love bad food like everybody, right?
We all do.
And one of the things that is my kryptonite, like I cannot stop from eating it. It's so tough for me, is candy. I don't know why I have this just obsession with candy, but saying that you eat a ton of candy to a guy that helps people work out and get in shape, like this badass right here, is like he doesn't want, like he's gonna plug his ears. He doesn't want to hear it because that's like those are bad. Candy's a bad word. And what
Mm.
I did is I was like, look, I can't. There's no, like, it's a no-go for me. I cannot cut candy out. It is just not happening, right? I quit drinking alcohol 15 years ago and haven't had a drink of alcohol since, yet I can't stop eating candy no matter what kind of coach I have. It just doesn't happen. But what I did do is I cut way down on it. Like, I mean, I cut it way down, right? So I eat a
Game
little
changing.
bit of candy. That's what I, and that helps me. I mean, that soothes me, right? That makes me happy. But yeah, portion control is what I did. And listen, I still enjoy myself when I eat. And yeah, Was it tough in the beginning? Maybe. Honestly, it was a year ago. I don't know. I mean, it was a long time ago. And guess what?
That's
For
right.
you dads or moms out there that are want to do something like this, and maybe portion control is all you need to just adjust right now, do it. Just try it. Just do it for 2 weeks and see how it goes. Just adjust your portion in half, 2 weeks, and see how bad it hurts. Trust me, it's not going to hurt bad. Trust me, it's not. So yeah, that's it. I mean, that's it. And get a coach, right? Simple as that.
Makes it easier.
Yeah, yeah. I think well, let me say this as far as getting a coach goes. When it comes to getting a coach, I mean, you typically have something go wrong with your car. What do? You take it to a mechanic. Why? You can't, especially cars these days, you really don't know how to work on it. You need got somebody who specializes in it or is trained in it or is educated in it to figure out what's wrong with your car. You have something go wrong with you health wise. Where do you go? I don't know. I think I'll self-diagnose. No, you typically go to the doctor to get a diagnosis at the doctor, right? And here's another secret that most of you guys probably don't know. Did you know professional athletes actually have personal trainers that they work with to help
Oh, they
them
have a whole
continue to
team of
craft
people.
their game? Like Tom Brady, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, had coaches to help him throw the ball every single time better and better and better. Tiger Woods, we all know who he was. He had a golf coach even well into his prime. He still had a golf coach that he was working with to help his craft his game. Why? Did he really need it? Probably not. But guess what? He still had it because he knew the significance, the importance of it. That's the same reason why we should have some sort of coach in some way, whether it's in person or online, some sort of coach that can hold you accountable and is the expert in the area and will help you get better and work. Listen, I worked out for a whole year last year by myself in my own little gym doing my own workouts, following YouTube, all those sorts of things without any coach. Now, I was committed to it and did it every single day because I had told everybody I was going to do that. So I had to hold myself accountable to keeping my
Yep.
promise, right? But did it really help me at the end of the year? I may have had a little bit of strength in me, a little bit of muscle on me, but I was still overweight and I still wasn't 100% satisfied in my health. Had I had an actual trainer that was helping me with my diet and helping me with the type of routines that I did and all those sorts of things, I probably would have been much better off. This year with my running coach, it's been a lot different.
And I think a lot of people are, there's almost like a fear of like, oh, if I do this, I have to do it forever kind of thing. And it's like, no, man, you just, like I sign everyone up. It's a 12-week start, like 12 weeks is where we can get you set up with all the systems you need to get going, do things on your own if you want. Most people stay on for six to 12 months. But the idea is work with someone until you've got all your systems in place, and then you can run with them for as long as you can run with them. And then when you need to, talk to your coach again.
Yeah, so you're like talking about like building a base. So if you work with a coach that helps you to build that kind of that base, that foundation of what you need to do, you do that over 6 months or whatever, or maybe a year. Like I've been working with my running coach for this actually I started with him in January. So it'll be pretty much a year at the end of December here. I've been working with him for a year. Now, I've ran for 20 years. I really probably didn't need a coach, but guess what? He helped me increase my speed. This is just about me, but he helped me increase my speed from a 12-minute mile down to a 9-minute mile. So he has helped me
It's
improve
wild.
my running. And in 1 year, I've dropped 3 minutes off my pace. But had I not had him, I wouldn't have been able, I still wouldn't be there. I would not be there right now. I know how to run, I know how to set up training plans, but I wouldn't be where I'm at today had I not had a coach. So
And
it's
that's
important.
that's the big point here too is if you're not where you want to be, find someone who can get you there
Right.
in whatever domain it is,
Right.
whether it's health, fitness, uh, you know, education, business, whatever. If you're not where you want to be, find someone who can set you up with systems that will help you get there. That's the
Right.
quickest and the most efficient and the most likely way for you to succeed.
Yeah. I think for you, I mean, you mentioned it in the beginning where you talked about you help busy. You words you used were busy dads or busy parents that have careers, they have businesses that they're trying to run, they have really busy schedules. Um, Finding the time is always difficult for
Yeah.
parents, especially parents with young kids that are working, right? That have full-time jobs. They have young kids,
Oh
full-time
yeah.
jobs. Finding the time is crazy. Well, that was the case for me too. My boys, they're in their 20s, but my kids, I've always been involved in their lives. So yeah, finding the time to do those extra things that I needed to do to make sure I was healthy for them. Like I said, I've been running for 20 years. So going out for a run, taking that time away from my family to go spend an hour out on the road, on my feet running, I had to find the time to do that. So I just incorporated, just going a little bit earlier before everybody else got up. And that was my quiet time, right? That was just my me time. And that way when I come back from running, everybody's just about to get up and I'm ready to go. I can help them all, do whatever we need to do as a family, go do things, whatever. So finding the time, when you work with your clients, let's say you're working into that. Let's use you for example. All right. You have a couple of kids. You've got a business you're trying to run. You've got a wife that you need to keep happy, right? How does Josh incorporate that time into doing those things, taking care of his family, but also maintaining his health? Because you have to, as a coach, you can't be
Yeah.
chowing down on donuts when you're trying to coach clients and say, yeah, you need to be doing this and this, but don't follow what I'm doing as you chow down on another donut.
Yeah.
So how do you do it?
Honestly, it's a little unfair because this is my job.
Yeah.
So, like my job is health and fitness, and whether I'm teaching like, a few days a week, I teach the personal training courses here. That's where I was just before this. We're in the gym there. I can use the facilities there. I mostly train at home. But the secret is always convenience. Convenience is unfair for me because my whole livelihood is in and around fitness. So I have access to facilities and I have that integrated into my workday. But convenience is always king. It's kind of like, uh, should I sign up for the super cheap gym that has everything I want, but it's 45 minutes away? No. Spend an extra $5 a week, go to the gym that's 10 minutes away. Like the number one thing is convenience. And you know what? If you can't make it to the gym, if that seems like the hardest thing in the world, then don't. Get a couple dumbbells off Marketplace or Craigslist and train in your living room. I got so many people that I work with that just train in the living room, train in their office, train in their garage. I mean, I mostly train in my garage these days. Um, like convenience is king. You have to remove those barriers. You have to remove the excuses. Travel time and expense is one of the big ones. Obviously for home equipment, there's more of an outlay initially, but that stuff doesn't degrade. It doesn't
Right.
become less useful. If your plates get rusty, it doesn't matter. They still weigh the same.
Right.
But we always have it's like, oh, I need to go look at gyms and I need to go, find the perfect place and it needs to be here or there and it has to cost this much. Like, nah, just whatever's closest is going to be the best. If that doesn't work, you're going to start training in your living room. Don't have any equipment, head on down to Walmart, get yourself 3 bands for $20, and that's your gym now. Like that works so well for so many people.
Uh,
You don't have $20, you're going to start walking. You're going to start walking and then you're going to start jogging. Like there's always a easier level and it's always going to be better than what you're doing right now, which is usually nothing.
right.
So remove the barriers, remove the excuses. You don't need fancy equipment at all. It's like $50 for a couple of interchangeable dumbbells from whatever department store is nearby. And you can pick up the little weight plates for those off of, garage sales and
Right.
marketplace and Craigslist for pennies all the time. Almost all my weight plates came from people moving
Uh,
or getting them secondhand. I got some
Josh,
nice stuff too, but you don't need anything.
no, that's exactly what I did. The stuff that I have, like I bought a treadmill a while back. Actually, I bought a treadmill during COVID, right? Beginning of COVID, because I was like, okay, we need something for the house for when the weather's bad out here. We can't just go outside. So we need something for the house. So we did buy a treadmill. But other than that, I have a boxing bag that I bought was $150, I think, that I bought at Walmart or whatever. But I have dumbbells and they range from I think 2.5 pounds all the way up to 50 pounds. I have those dumbbells, but I didn't buy them all at once because it can be expensive. But
Yes.
I didn't buy them all at once. I bought them over time. So it took me a couple months to build them up. And guess where I got them? On other marketplaces of people that were selling them. I didn't buy any of those new. They were not brand new. And you'll be amazed at how cheap people will sell them to you because all they want
So
is the
cheap.
space. They want to get rid of them. They're like tired of looking at them. So yeah, you just go on there and check out dumbbells. That's what I, and my boys bought me a dumbbell rack for like Father's Day or something like that. And so I
Nice.
have all my dumbbells on the dumbbell rack. But literally, that's what I have. That's, and I do have bands. Actually, I've got some right here. They're in back right here. I got bands right
Fans
here.
are great. They're
Yeah.
cheap.
So
You can take them anywhere.
I have bands, I have the treadmill, I have the boxing bag, and I've got just a couple of handfuls of of minor dumbbells, and that
Yep.
was it. That
That's all
was,
you
I
need.
mean, literally that's all I had for my all of last year. That's what I used, and it's easy to do. It's routine. You're right. It's easy to do. You don't need anything real. I mean, honestly, running this year, all of the running that I've been doing with all the races, between the cost of the races, and I've gone through three pairs of running shoes this year. I've needed
Yeah, I bet.
regular running shoes, I've needed speed shoes, I've needed trail shoes, and I've had to replace a couple of those because of all the miles that I've done. Uh, Between the races and the shoes that I've bought, that doesn't even mention the
Yeah.
supplements, the gels and things like that I've bought.
Yep.
I've probably spent more money this year just on running than I did last year on all the weight equipment for me to work out at home. So, just to give you an idea. But yeah, you're absolutely right. So go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's what I wanted to bring in there.
No, you're absolutely right, but it's people are just looking for excuses.
Yeah.
Everything like every time you're like, well, this or that, just ask yourself, is this just an excuse? Like everybody, wants perfection, but isn't willing to settle for good. Oh, I need this fancy gym membership. I need to get new gym clothes. No, I've got this ongoing shtick on social media where I'm like, gym clothes are a psyop. They're a scam. I train in jeans and boots half the time. In the winter, because I train in my garage with the garage door open, I'm wearing woolen sweaters and beanies. Like
Uh-huh.
I just, sometimes I have to wear gloves, whatever. Gym clothes are absolutely non-essential. You don't need new shoes. You don't need new clothes. You don't need a fancy membership. You don't need fancy equipment. I can get you started and I can get you pretty jacked with just some bands. And it's going to cost you 20 to 50 bucks to get started, depending on how many bands and what you want to spend. That's it. I've had people that have been working with almost 2 years now who just use dumbbells and bands in their living room. And they're always getting stronger and they're getting leaner and they're loving it because
Hmm.
they just get up, do the work, their kids hang out with them, they're learning by their example as well. Everybody wins.
Yeah.
But just stop looking for excuses, people.
The excuses. I mean, yeah, I hear you. And listen, the reason that people make excuses is because it's not easy. It's
No,
not. It's not easy. It- Trying to get into shape is not easy. If it was easy, there wouldn't be a single fat person on the planet, and Josh would be out of a job. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's not
that'd be
easy
all
to
right.
do that, right? So, yeah, you have to be committed to it. You have to be dedicated to it. You have to make it a priority. And guess what? Don't make it a priority for you. Make it a priority for your family. Make it a priority for
Absolutely.
your kids because I know there's dads out there that have young daughters and they hope one day that they'll be able to walk that one daughter down the aisle when she goes to get married. How would you like to not be able to do that? How would you like to be not in the health condition to do that? How would you like to not even witness it? I mean, there's significant change that can happen if you don't take care of your health. That's why it's important. And that's why I wanted to have Josh on. But I do want to ask Josh this because it comes to he is he's does this for a living. He's got clients. He knows what he's doing. But how does he manage his own family? How does he manage his own personal life when it comes to his own kids? Because as parents, we know when we have young kids, it's very hard, especially if we've noticed that one of our kids or maybe both of our kids has started to put on a little bit of weight. Maybe they're eating a little bit too much junk food, and maybe we need to just reel it in just a little bit to make sure that they stay as healthy as possible. Um, how about you, Josh? When it comes to your own kids, obviously your youngest one, you said is 6 months old or whatever. Your youngest one is
One year. Yep.
1 year, yeah. So that's kind of a different story. But your other son, uh, I mean, how do you reel in that? I mean, they want to eat the little,
I want
the
everything.
dino nuggets and all that kind
Oh
of stuff,
yeah.
right? I
Well,
mean, how do you control that as a coach, as a trainer? You're like, ugh.
honestly, it's always a challenge. The easiest solution to everything is not having it in the house. Like if you have a problem with the food, or your kids do, if it's not in the house, they're not going to go get a job, make money, go to the grocery store, pick it up, take it home, cook it for themselves. Like it's not going to happen. So if it's there and it's a problem, it's your fault. Now, if we're looking
Perfect.
at if we're being a little bit nicer about this, if we're looking at some more nuanced options here, it's about the relationship with food. And so like we're an active family. My wife runs a nature play business, so my kids have been playing outside in the bush since they were born. They're active, they're outside a lot. And I'm outside a lot less. I used to be a wilderness guide, so I used to spend a lot of time outside. Now less so. Uh, but, activity is such a big part of what we do. I go to jujitsu. My 4-year-old goes to jujitsu. I train in the garage. He's been playing in the garage, training there since he could pick up stuff. He's been going to the gym with my wife since forever. Both the boys have. Um, so, you can't tell them to do something you're not doing, but creating this relationship around activity. And then when it comes to food, it's like, very simple stuff that our parents probably did. Sure, you can have this treat if you eat this, basing your meals around protein, making sure that you're eating something and the kids are involved in the cooking and creation and deciding process. They should have a say in the menu, what you're having occasionally involved with the cooking, because then there's pride and a desire to try those things. And then you shouldn't be making tons of special meals for them either. Obviously, sometimes you will, but having them involved with the food process and having everyone eating the same stuff means you're all on the same page and this is normal. And then, treats, and we're dealing with this thing now where my 4-year-old Theo, he always wants dessert. But for him, dessert's frozen blueberries. It's like oh, are you sure? I don't know if you've eaten enough of your meats here, you gotta eat a bit more if you want your dessert. And he's like, okay, and then he's happy with blueberries and yogurt. So it's like, what are the treats? What are the sneaky things that they think is a special treat, but is actually good for them? And having that part of the food conversation, and then having safe options. So safe options around food are things like, okay, you might not like what we're eating tonight, but if you try it, you don't like it, you can have this. And in our house, we always have Greek yogurt and fruit as an option, or eggs. We have chickens. So we always have eggs. And my oldest boy had an egg allergy for the first couple of years of his life. And ever since he grew out of that, he's always loved eggs. And so, if he doesn't like what we're having, and sometimes he just doesn't want what we're having, and then we kind of have to be a bit more
Right.
boundary focused. But if it's honestly he doesn't like it and he tried it, he's like, I just want a dippy egg with something to dip in it. It's like, okay, no worries. Geez, it's terrible. You want an egg and some toast. It's the end of the world, right? No, because that's the safe option. So having things that we call safe foods, things that they like but are still good for them and you're happy for them to eat as alternatives means that you never really have to get into a huge battle around food. And then having treats, things like fruits or berries and maybe flavored yogurts without a lot of added sugar and things like that, homemade treats. And then if that's what you eat, that's all they know,
Hmm.
and that's really the key is not having a separate standard for them and a separate standard for you.
The leading by example is huge in anything that we do as parents. But I think that one of the things that Josh would probably agree with is everything in moderation, right? So if your kids are, I mean, let's say they go over to, they go over to Billy's house, and Billy's house, they had dinner and then they got, cookies and ice cream for dessert. And then your
Yeah,
kid comes home and says, well, I mean, you gave me fruit and yogurt, but Billy's parents gave me cookies and ice cream. Okay, well, yeah, you can have a cookie every once in a while, but you
yeah,
don't need a cookie all the time. I mean,
that's
that's
right.
not, so everything in moderation is my point. And I think it's important to understand that, especially when kids start to go off to school and they have little buddies that they hang out with, and little buddies bring cupcakes to school
Or
to
they go to
share with.
visit the grandparents want
Yeah,
to spoil them. Yeah,
right. So
same thing.
everything in moderation is super important. But I love that if it's not in the house, they're not gonna really care because it's not there. Like, what are we supposed to do? We don't have any. Like,
Yeah.
you can have your fruit and your yogurt, and that's your treat. I mean, if they're used to that, and that seems like that's what your kids are used to, then there's no harm. There's no foul. Good. That's awesome. Um, Let me ask you this. I didn't realize how long we were going. We could talk for hours because health and fitness is super important, especially when it comes to
It
parents.
is.
I'm 51 years old. I'm going to be 52 next month, and I got to tell you, when it comes to my age, it is super important because we start to decline as we get older, health wise. Our health declines, and we need to make sure that we're taking care of it. And as you get older, it gets even harder to do. So the younger you are, the better you are at taking care of yourself and staying in shape and eating the things you need to eat. The easier it's going to be when you're older.
Yep.
You're going to be so routine and used to it. I will tell you, my older son right now, he is going to be 20. Shoot, he's going to be 27. Holy crap. This next week. And I have to tell you, he is a fanatic when it comes to working out. Like he doesn't have a coach, but if he could live at the gym, Josh, he would. He would literally live at the gym. He loves to work out. He hates missing especially if he's busy or doesn't feel well and he has to miss a day at the gym. It absolutely crushes him. It's like his worst day ever.
Yeah.
And he
Good.
makes sure he eats right. Like he was on me all year about I need to lose some weight. I need to lose some weight. I just talked to him tonight before we got on this call, and I was like, "Yeah, dude, I'm down 80 pounds officially 2 days ago." And he's like, "Dude, keep it up, man. That's awesome." So he understands it at his young age. He understands it.
Good.
Guess what? When at his young age, he understands it because he loves it. He lives it. That's his life. He knows that when he's 50, he's not gonna like it's not gonna be hard for him like it was for me. He's gonna be used to it. It's gonna be routine. So,
Exactly.
anyways,
Yeah.
so for you, I mean, for parents, if they want to maybe reach out to you, maybe they have questions, maybe they need a coach, maybe they want to just kind of get your opinion on some things, or maybe they want to interview you as far as coaching them. Best places for them to look you up, learn a little bit more about you, all that sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just Coach Josh Wood on Instagram is a great place to start if you want to have a conversation. My website is strongforlife.online because my business is Strong for Life Online Coaching. And I have a bunch of free resources there. Like I've got beginner gym guide. Like how do you get started at the gym? What should you do when you first show up? Like there's a whole guide there about that. I've got links to my TEDx talk, How to Eat Like an Adult.
Hmm.
And there's a free Eat Like an Adult guide too. Like I got a bunch of resources there. There's some short workouts on the blog, like strongforlife.online is a good place to start digging around for resources. You can also get in contact there. But otherwise, if you want to have a chat and ask some questions, I'm always happy to answer questions and point you in the right direction. And Instagram is probably easiest. And I'm just Coach Josh Wood.
Cool. I will make sure that all those links are in the show notes. But hey, man, I'm excited for us to continue our friendship, our virtual friendship, if you will. And if you're ever in the States or if I'm ever find my way in Tasmania, we need to
Oh
make
yeah,
sure
look me up.
make sure we need to catch up and break some bread or something together. Maybe some unhealthy bread. How about
Nah,
that, Josh?
bread's fine. Bread's great.
Anyways, listen, dude, thanks very much for being on, man. It's been awesome. I really appreciate all the input that you provided. And for my guests, yeah, for my listeners, my viewers, if you want an online coach, you have questions, feel free to reach out to him in the show notes below. But Josh, thank you very much, man, for being on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Listen, guys, it's been another episode of Dad Up. Listen again, check out the links below. If you want to reach out to Josh, you can do that. He is very active on social media. You can go to his Instagram page and you can reach out to him there, send him a DM. As I always say, though, unless you're going to send him a weird DM, don't. He's not going to respond to you. But if you ask him a legitimate question or just want to talk to him about possibly having him as a coach, an online coach, reach out to him. He will certainly help you out. He'll certainly answer your question. And if he can't help you, he can't help you. But at least you went down that road and checked it out. But thanks again to Josh for being on. And guys, he has a YouTube page too. So that link's in there as well. So if you want to check out any of the videos that he's done as well, you can do that. But if you are not yet subscribed to my show on my YouTube channel, please make sure you do that so you don't miss any of the awesome guests that I have on each and every week. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of Dad Up. Wow, another amazing episode in the books. So much was shared, and I'm truly grateful my guest was able to pour into you to help you elevate your dad game and really dad up. Make sure you bang that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're here, please don't forget to leave me a rating and a review. I always appreciate the feedback. And one last thing, don't forget, your role as a dad is one of the most important roles you have. So if you need a little help or have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me on my website at daduptribe.com or at my Instagram page at daduppodcast. Until next time, everyone, dad up.